July 10th, 2024. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:01 PM. The first item on the agenda, now that we are in a new fiscal year, is the reorganization of the Finance Board.
I'd like to make an amendment to that, to table it till we have a full board.
Motion to table? Motion to table?
Yeah.
So there's a motion to table until we have a full board present. I'll say.
Oh, did you second that?
Oh, I'll second
ahead.
that, yep.
Okay, perfect. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. So the next item on the agenda is the appointment for a representative to serve on the Community Preservation Committee. Our previous representative was Alex Woods. He has since stepped back to an alternate position on our board, and so he would no longer be able to serve as the representative. I don't know if anyone has had any thoughts on this. I did reach out to Mike. The timeline for this is he's anticipating there be 4 meetings this fiscal year, one in August, one in September, and then another in January and February timeframes. He said the first meeting would probably be about an hour, and the rest of the meeting is likely to be 2 hours.
I would like to take that role.
Is there anyone else who, any other comments?
Fine.
Adam is stepping up. Okay. I'll make the motion then to appoint Adam to the Community Preservation Committee as the Finance Board representative. Is there a second for that?
Second it.
And then any other discussion?
Just thank you for stepping up. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
my pleasure.
So motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous. The next item on the agenda is just the ethics training. I reached out to the town clerk's office just to ensure that everyone on the board is in compliance with all of their various required trainings. I will reach out to Bill as he has some things to work on. But Jim, they also mentioned you had some training that you needed to complete
I've already took it today.
today.
Yeah, I'd rather have a root canal. They should have a shorter version of that. I've taken that 4 times. Another government inefficiency.
All right, great. Thank you for completing that. The next item on the agenda is the closeout of fiscal year 2024. I did reach out to Rebecca, and she did let me know that there are no transfers needed today to close out fiscal year 24, which is a great thing to hear.
Congratulations.
I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add to the conversation on that.
We're just finalizing the last warrant for the last fiscal year, so we'll be able to update the board with updated numbers and how we plan to close out year end and potential free cash that we believe that we will have available prior to certification, and give you a better update on all of that. But this last warrant's really going to give us a really good understanding of exactly where we're going to finish out the fiscal year. So we're on our way, and we will be able to update the board accordingly at the next meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 12th, 2024 meeting. I read through them. I don't have any updates, so I can make the motion to approve the minutes from the June 12th, 2024 meeting.
I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? This is going to be a quick meeting. The next item on the agenda is the Board committee study group updates. I added this onto our agenda as kind of a placeholder as we go through the fiscal year, just where we have members that are serving on other committees, other boards. It's a great opportunity to bring back information about the meetings for those other projects that we are a part of. Right now, there's obviously nothing going on with community preservation. We do have the trash and recycling. I think that's a committee, correct? Bill's not here to provide an update on that. I do know, we've seen the announcement that with Black Earth Compost will now be offering services here in town for those residents who would like to partake in that service. I know myself, looking at their items that they're able to compost, which is more than what you could do in your backyard, is definitely an impressive list. And the cost associated with that for the resident is not a very large number. I think it equates to like $4.62 a week to have weekly pickup. So hopefully we have some residents who, we have enough residents for them to offer the service. And I know they offer a discount once we hit a certain number of residents. So hopefully we'll get to that point. The next item on the agenda is just our town administrator updates.
Thank you. So I don't really have too much updates to provide to the board. Just to let the board know, if you haven't already seen the select board meeting, we have a new school committee representative, Michael Hawes. He had made an introduction to the select board at their meeting on Monday. I had met with him prior to that meeting. He seems extremely enthusiastic about being part of the school committee and seeing what he can do in order to help push those efforts along. So I think it will be beneficial to have him come before the finance board, as well as our current liaison, Lana DeRocha, who has been before the board before when we were going through the discussions for the school budget. I think maybe not last year, but the year before, when the override was being discussed. I think it would be very beneficial. Maybe we can have them both in for an update to the board, maybe in the fall time, prior to the budget, so that we can have that conversation sooner rather than later. Also,
We do have 3, yes.
School committee members.
Yep.
you're fine. And so the other update was to let the board know that we moved ahead with appointing the executive coordinator. Annie Schindler is now the executive coordinator, so she will be helping me with all of things relative to the town administrator's office as well as the select board. So we're really excited. It will make the transition a lot easier, and it'll allow her to pursue her other academic goals that she had in mind. So we're excited to see that come to fruition. And obviously, if you can't get in contact with me, or if the board needs anything, you're free to reach out to Annie, and she'll be able to help you and get you the information that you're looking for, or get in touch with me, or what have you. And then lastly, to just let you know that we're continuing to put forward our goals for fiscal year 25. So we will be having our performance reviews with our employees over the next 2 months. We will also be implementing new time and attendance software with the Harper's payroll system that we currently have. So we will be putting that into effect hopefully sooner rather than later. There's a lot of different rules that we need to implement as part of the software system, because different groups and collective bargaining agreements have different types of incentives per their contract. So getting that all squared away and making sure that we have that set up. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, so we're just setting up for the new fiscal year, and hopefully at the next meeting we'll have a lot more to report to you on things that we'll be working on.
Thank you so much. The next item on the agenda actually is kind of to basically kind of wrap up this meeting a little bit and plan our next meeting. Historically, we have the third Wednesday of the month as our standing meeting, which would be August 21st. I don't know if anyone has any conflicts with that. now, or if, do we want to take August off? And then
I would
July-
take August off,
And take August off and come back
come back in September.
in September?
That's what I would do. And then we give Rebecca a night off. Because every time I turn on the TV, I see that face. I don't know how many committee and board meetings. She's making like $9.50 an hour. So. All right. Enough of that.
All right, does everyone want to take August off?
Fine with me.
All right, so then if we move forward, the third Wednesday in September would be September 18th.
18.
And then do we have a preferred start time? Generally, we've been using 6 o'clock during the non-busy, quote-unquote, busy time frame. I don't know if there's a time that works better for people.
A little later is better for me, but I can make 6 o'clock work as well.
I'm flexible. 5 is nice, but I think that we moved to 6 because there were other people on the board that had a harder time getting here from another work location, so it doesn't matter to me. I can do whichever.
All right, we'll leave it at 6, and then we can regroup in terms of a start time.
And I would just make sure that the board knows that your meeting dates coincide with the Conservation Commission meeting dates, being the third Wednesday of the month. So they start their meetings at 7. So just take that into consideration. We have other rooms available that we can use. I'm just letting you know that typically that will be a conflict on some of the Wednesdays if they have their meeting scheduled. We are setting up the back meeting room to be more meeting focused, so it's a smaller room, but if there's not really much of attendance, I don't think it will be problematic, and we'll still be able to televise, and it will still allow us to participate and have participation via Zoom. And then the same with the public safety room. We can always move over there, and it has the same capabilities over there as well. So just want to be
Can
mindful
you
that if you do
record
move
over at the fire station?
at the fire station, yeah. So you could do either
We can't
or.
be limited to, because the Conservation Commission meets at 7. We've never gone through this before. Just saying.
I know, so was it never a conflict because we used to meet at 5? Is it?
This is the third Wednesday of every month.
It usually is earlier, and then during the budget season, we've always experienced, the end of the meeting and people will be walking in, or we have extra meetings and we have them on off weeks, so it hasn't necessarily been a problem. I don't anticipate it being a problem moving forward, and I do think that, it is a smaller group, so I think that that back meeting room would be fine until it becomes more of an issue with, department meetings. But I would imagine that we're going to be doing joint meetings this year as well, what we talked about with the select board, so that would maybe change the schedule. And again, the budget schedule is a little different than your normal schedule. So I'm just saying that your normal schedule might cause a little bit of conflict if you were to go over the hour's worth of time, because they do start to come into the meeting room at about 7 o'clock. Just something to think about, that's all.
So we could change the night then.
Yeah, we could do the second Wednesday. It doesn't need to be the third Wednesday, right?
I don't know who has this room. The selectmen have this on Mondays and Tuesdays when there's a holiday.
Like, we have a zoning board of appeals meeting this evening, but the Conservation Commission is meeting at 7, so the zoning board of appeals will be over at the public safety meeting. I mean, there's other rooms available when something happens, and if the Conservation didn't have a big showing and the ZBA did or something of that, we could obviously ask them to meet. There's ways to work around it. I just wanted to let somebody know that the room might not be
Right,
available.
there's ways to work around it, but if our third Wednesday is kind of an arbitrary thing,
Right.
then we might have a different default that
If you go second Wednesday,
Go
avoids
second
it all.
Wednesday.
There you go.
Is
How's
there-
the second
You
Wednesday?
made a management decision here.
So the main meeting room calendar, let's just pull it up real quick. And it looks like we should be good for the second Wednesday.
Here we go.
So we can move up a week to be September 11th.
is that a holiday?
It's a win-win.
I don't think so.
No.
It's
Should
not a
be.
holiday.
Which one, I'm
September
sorry?
11th.
September 11th? No.
We could move up.
September 2nd is.
I'm making a motion that we change from the third Wednesday Finance Board meeting to the second Wednesday of each month on a regular schedule at 6 PM.
I will second that.
All right, so there's a motion and a second to move the standing meetings from the third Wednesday to the second Wednesday of every month. Is there any other discussion on that? I'm flexible on which Wednesdays, so it doesn't interfere with anything that I have on the calendars right now, so.
Good for me.
Right, okay, all in favor? Unanimous? So then that would put our next meeting, September 11th, at 6 PM. And at that meeting, we can discuss, just the start time for people, if there's a time that works better for the majority of the people. So then, the next item is just whether anyone had anything else that wasn't anticipated at the time of posting.
Good.
I'm good. Ruth, do you have anything? Thinking.
I am. I'm thinking, because, no.
Oh, good. Jim?
Oh, I did, have you heard anything on the summer camp at the Bagnell School, how it's going under the new director?
Yes, it seems to be going very well. I've actually received at least 2 emails from parents saying that they really are enjoying the camp this
Great.
year. I haven't had any reported issues, but I know that Joe Gill, the summer program director, had come before the board, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe bring him in maybe at the next meeting to give a report as to how the season went and where we were with our final numbers, because the camp registration was still open, and where we are with our final numbers, because I think that would be really a telltale sign as to whether or not we want to move forward with the program, because if the program finds itself in a deficit yet again, if we were to move forward with the next fiscal year trying to have the program in play, it could only potentially further the deficit unless there was major changes made, and any deficit is something that's going to be something we need to cover with free cash or some other types of funds, and that is, again, taxpayer dollars. These programs were always funded based upon user fees, so to start talking about how we would make up for those deficits if they continue to be an issue is something that we would want to take into consideration. So in September, I think it might be worthwhile to have him in and see exactly where we are from the original $46,000 deficit that we found ourselves in, and whether or not we were able to limit that, and whether or not it makes sense to potentially cover that deficit, because I imagine based upon the payroll that we've already seen for the few weeks that the camp has been running, the program will find itself in a deficit. It's just a matter of how much, and most likely we're watching it to be hopefully half of what it is now. That's the goal. Whether or not we're able to achieve that, we're not sure. So I do think that it would be worthwhile maybe to bring him in at that meeting and discuss it. But I do know that some of the feedback that we have has been positive in terms of the programs and, some of the activities that they've had.
Great. And also, there's no update as far as the new highway, I don't recall the title of the.
It's the Programs and Project Manager. I actually have interviews scheduled tomorrow, so hopefully those will go well. And if they go well, we will make a recommendation for appointment, and we will have somebody in that role by the end of the month.
Good, awesome.
My hat's off to the cemetery workers, because it's been brutal this week and last week. I'm a regular customer up there, so. And Anthony, he's got a new person with him. They're doing a good job. Just saying. I took ethics training today, so I have to be careful.
All right, great. If there is nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
Ruth, this is where you come in. I make an motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Adjourned at 6:22 PM.
This meeting